I was reading the notes there. Um, hey, how you doing, Clyde? General framework. I wonder if they've seen as many watches that it takes something really out there just to truly get their attention. Yeah, we got their attention. We just didn't get their prices. Let's see. The fairest is the market. Uh, the market is the market. Uh, Hi, Big Sal. How you doing? William, good morning. Hey, Dom. Um, Sound and video okay? Yeah. Um, Glad everything's working. I had my mic turned off initially. Um, I think every year we get into a conversation, if not more than every year, of is the Grand Prix d'Horlogerie de Genève fair. Now, this year was very different because a group of us had a watch in it, and I don't know, I was just certain we were gonna win because our watch was so good. Well, we didn't even make the first step, let alone win. Um, and so, we're trying to figure out what's going on. Is this thing rigged or what? I don't think so. I think it was actually the what we had done. We had really created a watch that was for ourselves. We weren't going to market it or sell it or uh, just for us. And we were going to do it so that basically we could have a top quality watch at what amounted to manufacturer's cost. Okay. So off we go. We did it. The watch we came up with, which is now undergoing chronometer testing at the Horological Society of New York. I got, I had to, I think I had it for one night when we went to the watch time show, and whoop, then we sent it in for chronometer testing. So that's what I wanted to talk about on that general framework. The fairest is the market. Nah, I don't think so. I think that, as H.L. Mencken said, no one ever went broke underestimating the taste of the American public. So you can have watches out there that have very little quality that sell by the truckload. Um, there's something more than that. I mean, that's like market economics. Even market economics ends up strangling itself every now and then. I found out. Um, So let's, what is going on now? Let me say, in terms of general frameworks comments, yeah, the whole thing is about selling watches. There's no doubt about that. In the same way that the Academy Awards is about selling movies, and so that's a good thing. It really is. I mean, like you have, people making these really different and good watches, and most people could care less. I mean, they don't care about constant force. They don't care about all of the things that go into a really excellent watch. And so, what the Grand Prix d'Horlogerie does is it gives them an opportunity for really two things. One, um, just by entering the Grand Prix, our watch got known all over the place. So, wow, what a watch! So the Reek Etude number one was way out there. Then the nominations came, and we were depressed because we didn't get nominated. But before the nominations, we had heard that there were sort of like grumblings that what we were doing really wasn't fair. We were trying to game the system by having this really inexpensive watch that would normally cost between 5 and 10 times what we were what we were listed it as. In fact, we had the retail price is I think $9,500, and there just aren't watches like that for that price. And we're not talking about half price. We're talking about between 1/5 and 1/10. And if you look around, that's what you find out. Now, that's okay. I'm glad we did it, and I'm glad I think that really is fair. I mean, like, I think what the Grand Prix did here, you got some guy, and some company working together to have a profitable watch for a business to everybody, pays, gets their paycheck and everything like that. And the price of the watch is based upon a certain factor beyond the manufacturing cost. So, here's what ours was. Ours was a manufacturing price, and we popped a couple thousand Swiss francs on top of that to make it look like we had a retail price, and that just wasn't what was not done right. If we had entered into the men's category, God, I'll tell you, there are so many. The watches in that category are just killers. They're great. I have a couple, and they just really amazing. And so anyway, that's what I wanted to kick around with you guys. Um, is that well, what way would be really a sensible way to do it? Now, this afternoon, what I want to talk about when we meet at 4 o'clock New York time is some categories that we should have added. But right now, I just want to talk about let's take a look at what goes into it in the same way that look at the Academy Awards. I don't know, my wife and some other people that I know and love the Academy Awards, and they get all huffy if their movie doesn't win and are surprised and things like that. So let's start off. So let's take a look at who the winners are and what do you guys think about that? And also, let's take a look at the past. Some watches in the past that haven't won. In fact, I don't even know if they've gotten to the nominations. One is this German company that makes these fantastic watches, and that's Maurice Grossmann. I'm surprised they're still putting watches in the Grand Prix, other than for advertising them. But man, they make these watches that are just fantastic, but they never win. Rolex in 2007 put two of their watches in. They never made nominations. The one I'm wearing, one of my favorite watches, this is Lang& Heinz Frederick II. I think they had a Frederick II or Frederick III entered at one time. It didn't make nominations. So, I mean, it's those kind of so we're not alone, put it that way. And the company we're in is very good. My Oh, my Van Cleef and Arpels, Eredicie et Ourdayer, uh, time here and time elsewhere with a movement made from soup to nuts by Jean-Marc Viderec. It didn't make the cut either. And so it's sort of like, well, we're not the only ones, but what factors go into it? Let me sort of give you a rough idea of how it works. You have, I don't know, 200. So I don't know how many members of what they call members of the academy, and all of the members of the academy vote on watches, and the ones with the most votes for each category go into nominations. And the idea behind that is that there you have a wide swath of people making decisions about the good watches. Um, and they were the ones that got us. Not you guys. You guys are cheating. Here you've got this watch that is gonna. It's sort of like you know putting a 20-year-old on a junior high school football team. Big. Okay, so that was it, and to me that was fair. I mean, you have a certain that's a way of guaranteeing fairness beyond just what the rules say. The rules are going to say one thing, but the reality is another. So there's that. Now, after they have the nominations, you have the jury, and a jury is kept secret for good reasons. Like there'd be bribes and all kinds of other kinds of things. They kidnapped their kids. We would have done that, but we didn't know who the judges were. Um, so anyway, so let's take a look at the winners this year. Hang on a second. Let me bring them up here. Here you go. Okay. Let's start. I'm going to put this over here where I can see it and see this and see everything. Okay. Before I do that, though, let's see what comments you got. Good morning. Hi, Lease Time. How you doing? From Hamburg. How is Hamburg? Yeah, fall. Maybe we can use an insider next time to push our entry. A real Harvey Weinstein type. Oh, that's a good idea. They don't want the system shuck up. Yeah, I know what you mean. Hi, Hobby. Okay. Hi, Ivan. How you doing? Same as an award given to a wine or cheese. Watches are about personal taste. Okay. That's true for buyers. I think for judges, it's something else. They're supposed to have a set of criteria. Uh, Always considered shuck up to be an abbreviation. Okay. Hi, Kent. Timmy's watch, the Grossman. Okay. Hi, general framework. Polly, the most interesting of any art is what authors themselves put in their creations, what they say. Polly. Okay. Okay. All right. What did the ranchers say? Oh, yeah, I know what the ranchers said. Okay, so let's take a look at the wins. First of all, the winner of the Grand Prix Aiguille d'Or, um, the big prize, the grand prize, was the MB&F Legacy Machine Sequential Evo. I like that because I think one of the things I think most people who know about MB&F like them. And there's so many reasons to like them. Not only do they make great watches, they do make interesting watches, and they do it in interesting ways, and they're interesting people involved in making their watches. Um, Max Brazer, I'm not how to say his last name correctly. It's a German, but Max B and F are and friends, and the friends are some great watchmakers. So I was okay with that. The Gulf Monaco, Orange Hand mentioned the Gulf Monaco, that one, and tell me it's not rigged. Well, yeah, especially since it's the colors of an oil rig, Gulf oil. Um, yeah, we'll get to that one. That one, I have some sort of things on that. Oh, it's Gel Mip wooing. Come on now, say something smart today, okay? Our gel. Okay, now the ladies' watch and the ladies' complication. These are two companies I really like. One is Parmigiani, and the other is Hermes. Now, having said that, um, the Parmigiani Fluier Tonda PF is now they're using PF like the cool kids because people can't say Parmigiani Fluier. They just now the new CEO I think is the guy came from Gucci or somewhere to run the place. So he said, "Well, let's use PF." Okay, that watch is pretty close to the Tonda 1950, which I absolutely love. I'm not sure of that. I haven't checked the movement and so forth, but it is like the men's version of the Tonda PF Automatic, which is fine. And they made a feminine version. The thing I like about it, uh, you know, a woman's watch doesn't have to be these, some little bitty thing that nobody's supposed to notice because women aren't, they're what do they care about time kind of stereotype. I like it because it's a good, clear watch. It's feminine in the sense that um you have a watch that's sort of it's not sort of a guy kind of thing. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm in trouble. I'm sure any women here today, you can throw something. But anyway, I think it's a good watch. It's a good for telling time and not some sort of little girly girl thing. That there I said it. All fluff and bows. Now the ladies' complication watch prize by Hermes. This watch is so similar. In fact, it's almost identical to, if not identical to, the men's version of the same watch, which won the men's complication watch prize. I mean, I'm looking at these two watches. One's black, one's blue, and I think they're identical. The ladies' complication prize went to Hermes. Okay, let me say this. Um, Accrue les temps Voyager. That means, I guess, Voyager's time. And the men's complication one has the same name. I don't know. To me, that I'm not saying it's not fair. I'm simply saying, well, given the same watch, two prices doesn't seem quite kosher. And I'm sure that there's been some words about that, but what do I know? Okay, the men's watch prize. What do you guys think of those? Hey, Orange Man, look at the gold. Yeah, okay, I look at that. We'll get to that. Um, there is a children's category. Man, you're harsh. You got some harsh guys. Okay, all right. A non-binary watch. Okay, so let's look at the men's prize by Akriva. Now, I didn't think this watch had a chance, and let me explain why. The Chronomet Contemporarian 1 also won a men's prize. I thought, well, you can't, dust it off and give it a new name and put it up again. But apparently, he did a lot of work on it and really changed it. The guy who made it, Akriva, coolest guy, really a great guy, super talent. Glad he won. On the Hermes, I'm always glad to see them win something because people finally realize they're not a fashion watch. They're really good. You can find some really great movements in there. I got to find out a little more about that movement. I got a feeling that someone I know may have been involved in it. Okay, what do you got to say? Ladies' complication equals 24 bezel for shopping. Oh, William, you're gonna get in more trouble than I would. Okay. Uh, yeah. Okay. Hi, Os. I like the GS Kodo constant force best. Yeah, I, yeah, that's a good one. Okay, now we come to the iconic. This afternoon we're going to be talking about the categories for prizes, and that's one category I always wondered about. The guy who introduced the category was going on like, "Oh boy, here we have these watches. They've been around and they've done this, and they're so iconic, whatever that means. That we're used to them." And I happen to like the Tag Heuer Monaco X Golf. I just really like it. The Gulf oil colors, the shape, everything about that watch, I liked as an iconic watch. But I don't know, God knows what they tick on these days. I think it's an old ETA or something, but it's for iconic, not for anything else. The Tourbillon watch prize. What did you guys think of that going to H. Moser on that one? Hermes complications are cool. I couldn't agree more. I agree 100% with that. See, the thing is that the complications in Hermes, and I hope they keep doing this, they're that most people realize that they own 25% of Vauchur, but a lot of the complications are not made by Vauchur, and they're made by Agenor. All right. I'm not sure about this one, but wouldn't be surprised. Um, anyhow, okay. Hey, Einstein, it's like Rocky 2 winning Best Picture sequels should be disqualified. Yeah. Okay. Okay. The Tourbillon Watch Prize H. Moser at Sea. I don't like tourbillons and I don't like skeletonized watches. This watch, so I just great watch. The H. Mosers, their way of doing it is so just flat out elegant and even smart. You got a clear watch, you can see the tourbillon. It's just, I really like that watch a lot, and it costs a lot, and I can't afford it, but that's okay. Okay, the crayon for the calendar and astronomy watch. Yeah, that's an interesting watch. That one seemed to deserve it. I mistook them for the guy. Oh, the one with the googly eyes and so forth. I thought they were by the same company, but they're not. Crayon is totally independent of that. The Mechanical Exception Watch Prize went to Ferdinand Berthel. This is the kind of guy, and the watches he made are just where you can see some real horological genius at work. Very much deserved. Um, The chronograph prize went to Gronfeld, 1941, Chronograph Tantalum. Um, Somebody had said, and it may have been the Gronfeld brothers, that they had some help in developing this from Andreas Steller, who was a brilliant guy and a brilliant watchmaker. So are the Gronfeld brothers. I think I really like this watch. I like Gronfeld, so I'm glad they won. The Divers Watch Prize went to Tudor. Every year, Tudor wins. There are three categories that Tudor enters, and they win in each one. Uh, Divers, uh, Petite Aiguille, and the Challenge. Every time they go in there, they win. Now, if someone wanted to say, well, wait a minute, that's not right, in terms of the economy of it, they could put the same thing that went on us in the sense that, well, look at how many they produce. Look at their economy of scale. Their manufacturing price might be $500 because of the economy of scale, essentially. Now, is that fair? Well, doesn't matter. I think there are a number of things. After Rolex lost to two watches, they didn't even make to into the starting gate. They dropped out literally, but they've always supported Grand Prix. And so they started putting in Tudor, and Tudor won one after another. And in those three categories, I don't know if they went outside of that category or not, but there was either the Divers, the Petite Aiguille, or the Challenge, and they always win in one of those. It's a good thing though. I like Tudor, and I think they make really good quality watches. It's sort of rough to go up against them if you get some, uh, especially if you're not Swiss. You got your challenge worked out for you. Okay, I don't quite agree on challenge and iconic winners. Okay, uh, what is petite aiguille category? These are petite aiguille category is for watches under 10,000 but above 3,500 Swiss francs. It's just a money category. They used to be the Petite Aiguille used to be any watch under 8,000 Swiss francs, and so then they changed it because they wanted to have a bottom category. I agree with both of those categories. The Petite Aiguille and the Challenge to give you some lower price. You ought to see the prices on some of these other watches, like Mechanical Exception, the chronograph watch by Gronfeld. Two things about those watches: one, they cost way high, and second of all, they're in such limited editions. They're very difficult to get. Um, okay, let's go on. The jewelry watch was won by Bulgari. Every year they got something to do with a snake. I, it's sort of like, oh boy, here come Bulgari and there's a snake. Okay, they won. They won. I like their snake watches. Um, the artistic crafts prize went to Karevut and Lanen's GQ. The thing about this watch is that not only is it the artistic part of it, you also get the Wooten Lannon movement and everything else that most of his watches are famous for. And he's won several artistic crafts watch prizes. Interesting, if you sort of go back into the history of it. Dominic, the big players are increasing the manufacturing capacity. I know it's off the subject, but something to note. Oh, that's interesting. I'm glad to hear that, that they're increasing that because that's good for, I mean, if you have a certain numbers or maybe the prices will go down for us collectors. Jonathan, do you think if you guys had made 20 or so watches for sale, they would have looked at them? I don't think so. It's a good point, Jonathan, but I don't think so. It was they didn't like the price point. I mean, we had the retail price at 9,500 Swiss francs, which is just under the 10,000. And I said, no, look at that watch. That's a 20, $30,000 watch, and you guys just sort of lowballed it to get into the category. I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm simply saying that the rules don't disallow that. The one that did win in the category we're in is the Trilobe and the Petite Aiguille. And there's something about Trilobe I always like. They seem to have certain creative features in their watches, and I like to see that rather than, something very just sort of totally unimaginative. They do interesting stuff. I'm glad they won. And it's a little company that's going to be making watches. The Challenge Watch Prize went to Mad Editions. Now this is MB&F. Max again. He comes and he puts. I'll tell you that watch has sold out their waiting list to even get on our waiting list. That thing was just like at a great price, and so they got snatched up in no time at all. People just they could afford it. They wanted one by Max B, and they got it. So this is the one that I think deserved it a great deal. Mechanical clock. This was new, having a clock in there. That's okay. The one that won was Van Cleef and Arpels. Um, that clock was amazing. I looked at all of the details and it deserved to win. I think a lot of us wanted to see Benjamin Cheese watch one because we like Benjamin, even though he's the picture he has is just a real tough guy. They thug like Benjamin. I don't know. The Chronometry Prize went to Grand Seiko. This one threw me, and I'll tell you why. Not because it didn't deserve it, because it did. Rather, I think they used to have the chronometry as a competitive category. And so they changed their mind and they said, look, all of these things, the men's categories, this and that, all of these things involve chronometry. So what we'll do is we'll take the best one out of all of these different categories. We'll give it as a chronometry prize. Well deserved by Grand Seiko. The other one, the Horological Revelation Prize, went to Sylvain Pinaud. Here's another one that more than deserved it. This one I thought should have won. I think it was in the Complications Prize or something. Just a brilliant, brilliant watch. It really is. Take a look at it and take a look at what they did in the constant force, how they kept that, and really a brilliant watch. I'm glad they gave him the Horological Revelation Prize. The Audacity Prize went to Bulgari's for its Octo Finissimo Ultra 10th anniversary. Oh, a 10th anniversary! Why don't they put it in in uh, the iconic one? No, this horologically, I think that they really did deserve it. I mean, this prize they have. This a little thin watch in the Finissimo. By and large, too, Bulgari is way undervalued with some of their more affordable watches, which are with Bulgari movements in it. To me, that's one of those brands that sort of slipped under the radar. The final one is the Lady Van Cleef in Arpels, the Innovation Prize. I thought that was going to win the women's mechanical uh, complication watch. Really an amazing watch. The interesting thing about this watch is that usually they have somebody else do their complications for them. And this year they had it was done by Valfleury, since Van Cleef and Arpels is owned by Richemont. They had this very interesting complication by Valfleury, which says, I think, more for Valfleury than it does for Van Cleef and Arpels. It's good stuff. This guy Francois, as you know, incredible. He makes all kinds of interesting complications, and he's got a horse, a big horse. I guess it goes clomping along or something, but yeah, he's one of these really bright mechanical. He makes watches, but he makes other things too, and I think very well deserved prize. Was there a prize for best new watch brand? God, they used to have one. I'm trying to think. That's a good question, Raj. Um, I don't think they do. Uh, it used to be every couple of years or so they'd change the categories, and I'd like to talk about that this afternoon. Some of the what categories may better reflect, excuse me, reality. But we'll see about that. Yeah, but I think that's a good point. Um, the one that we saw was by Peter. There was one that seemed to have won that or should have won last year, year before last, was won by, I think it was called Peterman Bedat. And I looked at a couple of young watchmakers, and what they did was just incredible. I mean, they made this amazing watch, and they. This is, the young watchmakers as I'll try to get, sort of like catching up with a young FP Journe or someone and saying before they became famous and say, hey, I'll give you, $2 for that watch. Not these guys. They're very sophisticated and very expensive. Well, listen, I sort of tromped over my time, but I wanted to kick around these things with you. See what you had to say. So let me just go on for a little more because I've been talking all this time. Let's see what you have to say. Do you think, guys? If we had made 20 or so watches, we had 70. I mean, we we were, we had plenty of watches. All of them obviously sold before we even started, but I don't think that would have made a difference. Hey, Ammon Reviews, it's becoming common to see an influence who knows nothing about watches and is a GPHG Academy member. I know they wanted to make it more inclusive, but now they have no standards. I I don't know how many influencers they've got in there, but um, I there are people who are like that. I don't know how many are judges are involved in that. I wonder why Chopek is not joining GPHG. They've had Chopek has had watches entered in the past. They have. Yeah, they make good watches. I'm trying to think. I think they've made the finalist. I don't know if they've won anything or not. I don't think so. Hey, thanks, AAD. Okay, any other comments before I, I go? Okay, well, listen, guys. Thank you all for getting up. Some of you got up early, others I know it's in at nighttime. But This afternoon, 4 o'clock New York time, Eastern Standard Time. That would be 1600 hours in, I guess, the 1600 hours in military time. Take care, be safe, and if you're around this afternoon, I will see you again.